Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching fourth part of What If Naruto Was Betrayed by Jiraiya during 3 years training trip. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Spring Countery. Naruto sits in his dojo, reminiscing about his clones from the island. I should speak to Konan as well, he thinks, yawning. Naruto stands up and stretches. Onoki should be dead, and Kuretsuchi should take over as Tsuchikage. If not, I'll make arrangements to get her out. Those old fools may choose her father, but he lacks Onoki's particle release but has a high level of Doton control, he pondered. He enters and goes to the kitchen, where Tsunade, Sakura, Shizune, and Hinata are preparing lunch. Tsunade inquires, "You look tired, Naru-kun?" Naruto yawns again and takes a seat at the table, saying, "All those clones I dispelled," as Hana, Anko, Tsume, and Yugo join him. Tsunade, Hinata, and Sakura arrive as Itachi and Konan place sandwiches on the table. "Konan, have you thought about what I asked?" asks Naruto. "Nagato's betrayal has deeply wounded me. I would like to live a simple life and raise a child in peace, but that is not possible. So long as Danzo and his ilk live. I will assist you, Naruto," Konan asserts. "Thank you very much, Konan. Your help will be greatly appreciated," says Naruto. Lunch was quickly finished as Naruto yawned more and more. "We'll discuss things later. Can you please take Konan and Itachi to Dojima? I'm going to nap," he says as he walks to his room. Naruto exits his room and enters his private bathroom. "I still need to replace Itachi. Kuretsuchi with that one and her. Her is going to be a disaster," he reflected as he filled his tub with bubbles and hot water. As he sinks into the tub, Naruto sighs softly. Things are changing. Soon, the Sanbi will reform, and I will save him without any competition from Akatsuki. But Konoha is still a possibility, albeit by a small margin. I still need to find Taki's container, but the village is tired of visitors. Maybe send Arki or Rachnera inside. Also for her, the Rokubi. Then there were Iwa and Kumo. So many things to do. I also need to contact that person, he thought as he lathered his hair. Naruto finishes his bath and changes into sweatpants and a wife beater, only to find Hinata, Konan, and Itachi in the living room. Naruto yawns and sinks into his recliner. "We need to talk about it further. Just inform the others later," he claims. Tsunade says, "Onoki should be dead by now," and Naruto nods. True, but they're remaining silent. Akage's death is a serious matter. In the midst of the chaos, it would invite enemies to invade, Naruto elaborates. Hana inquires, "Will Kuretsuchi be chosen as Yondaime?" That remains a wild card. It will be her or her father Kitsuchi's decision. He's a seasoned shinobi, but Kuretsuchi possesses a Keke Toda. However, this creates additional issues, as stated by Naruto. Iwa could pull that off. They could force her to produce children, Naruto nods as Anko says. That was something I had planned. If Kuretsuchi is not chosen for Tsuchikage, she will leave Iwa, Naruto makes a remark. Wouldn't that jeopardize your plans for Konoha? Asks Sakura, but Naruto shakes his head and points to Itachi. If Kitsuchi is chosen, Itachi can persuade him to act aggressively against Konoha. I intend to distribute copies of my little black book to all daimyo. Once word gets out, Konoha and, by extension, Hai no Kuni will be cut off. The fire daimyo will lose face with his rivals, allowing Suna to break their alliance and form one with Spring. So, for the time being, we'll play the long game and continue to build Kuroi Yuhi's reputation, Naruto elaborates. Why such a long game? Asks Tsunade. Naruto smirks as he leans back in his recliner. I'd like to take my time. Allow things to unfold naturally. It will take time for the rest of the world to turn against Hai no Kuni, even if they are skeptical. The damage has been done, and while this is happening, we will transition out of spring to another base, he explains, surprising them. Itachi informed me that Pain intended to attack here with all of the Akatsuki. So, for the time being, we should relocate to a secondary base, Naruto continues. But where to? Sakura wonders. Country of the Waves. It's been on the rise for the past 3 years, but it's still under Konoha's control. If things go our way, Hai no Kuni will face trade embargoes or no access to other countries, Naruto begins. Wave could then be Konoha's target. A shipping hub without a defender, Naruto nods as Anko says. Exactly. We'll be switching to Wave. I own Gado's old house and have been renovating it. For the time being, we'll divide into 2 groups. Itachi, Hinata, Anko, and I will go to Otto and destroy it. Tsunade will lead the others to Wave, Anko titters as Naruto explains. After Otto, we travel to Taki in search of their Jinchuriki. From there, I'll send a clone to Iwa to double-check things before heading to Kiri to meet with one of our last members and look for the Biju, Naruto elaborates. What about Kumo? Tsunade inquires. We'll leave Kumo alone for the time being to observe their actions. The Raikage may see this as an opportunity, but I have someone else there as well, Naruto responds. Our last member, Sakura says, and Naruto nods slowly. So for the time being, we sit and wait. How long until we go after Otto? Anko claims. A month or so. Enough time for me to become acquainted with my new vision, Naruto says, and they all nod. Iwagakure. Kuretsuchi sits with her arms folded, hiding the scowl on her face as she listens to the advisors argue about her grandfather's death and who should succeed him. Naruto was correct. It's up to me or my father, but the old farts are stuck in the past, Kuretsuchi, looking over at her adopted father Kitsuchi. He is a very tall and brawny man with dark eyes, short dark gray hair, a beard, and a bulbous nose. He is dressed in the standard Iwagakure shinobi uniform, complete with a left sleeve and a right lapel. Why is this even a problem? Yondaime was my grandfather's name. Dad is a powerful shinobi, but I was named after him, Kuretsuchi says, putting an end to the bickering. That could be true, Kuretsuchi-sama, but you are still young. With his experience, Kitsuchi-sama would be a better choice, several advisors nod as one says. I agree with you. Kuretsuchi-sama. The death of Lord Sandaime has affected all of us, but it should not push us to go to war with Konoha, another person says. Are you really afraid of Konoha? They no longer have their Jinchuriki or Godem. You are all aware that Danzo Shimura is a well-known war hawk, and that the proof of his murder of my grandfather is imprisoned. How much more must Konoha deprive us of? Kuretsuchi asserts. We can't rush headlong into things, Kuretsuchi. Jiraiya is in our custody. We can use this to compel Konoha to release political prisoners or compensation. War is not the first option, Kitsuchi asserts, and several advisors concur. After that, choose the next Tsuchikage, Kuretsuchi says, folding her arms. As Kuretsuchi sat in silence, the advisors began to murmur amongst themselves. Sandaime chose you to be Tsuchikage, Kuretsuchi-sama. We are unable to. You are young and easily enraged. No one doubts your resolve or strength, but wisdom and foresight are required right now. That is why Kitsuchi was chosen as the Yondaime Tsuchikage. One advisor claims Kuretsuchi sits in silence and slowly rises from her seat, saying, "Congratulations, father," before exiting the room. We should have Anbu keep an eye on her. She is clearly enraged by our decision, a consultant says. You want Anbu to keep an eye on one of our own. My daughter, Kitsuchi says. Yandaime-sama, the adopted daughter. This will not be taken lightly by Kuretsuchi. Her actions could put Iwa in danger. Inciting open warfare with Konoha could bring Kumo into the picture, the most senior of the advisors. Would Kumo go that far, Moroku-san? Someone wonders. Indeed, Kumo went after the former Hyuga heiress under the guise of peace talks years ago. The Raikage could use a fight with Konoha as an opportunity to attack both of us, Moroku adds his thoughts. That is correct, but there will be no open warfare. We have Jiraiya to help us demolish the image of an honorable Konoha, Kitsuchi asserts. How about Kuretsuchi? Moroku inquires. Kitsuchi sighs deeply and leans back in his chair. If Kuretsuchi acts in a way that causes Iwa harm, she will be arrested, and the CRA will be activated in order to gather children using Sandame's Keke Toda. He says this, unaware that someone is watching from the shadows. Meanwhile, Kuretsuchi stands before her grandfather's grave with a scowl on her face, thinking, well, this wasn't unexpected, but I'm still pissed off. Gramps, I hope you will forgive me, but I am doing this for the sake of peace. Naruto and I will do it together. We will not fail. Kuretsuchi kneels down and whispers. You have a problem, a voice says, and Kuretsuchi returns his gaze. Rachnara, says Kuretsuchi. Rachnara has the upper body of a beautiful young woman, with large breasts and short lavender hair that covers the right side of her face. She has 6 pupilless, monochromatic red eyes and sharp, pointed teeth. Her lower half resembles a large spider with a large skull design on its back, with a black carapace covering her arms from the shoulders down and gauntlet-like plating on her hands ending in sharpened points. And what's the problem? Kuretsuchi asks, as Rachnara laughs. Those old men persuaded your father to arrest you. If things go wrong with you and the CRA is activated, Rachnara elaborates. Kuretsuchi hisses, the greedy old men. Rachnara tucks her arms beneath her ribcage, so, what now? They will now restrict your movements, she claims. True, so I'll play the fool for the time being. When will Naruto begin to move? Kuretsuchi inquires. According to Mother, a month from now. He'll be sending out the book in a few days, but he wants Arki or me to slip into Taki and find their container, Rachnara says. Okay, tell Naruto. I want to do the Sensei, but if things get too tight before he transitions, I may have to go missing Nin. Kuretsuchi and Rachnara nod in agreement. Right, but be careful, Rachnara says before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Kuretsuchi says a silent prayer before disappearing into Shunshin to return home. Konoha. I knew listening to that inept wildman would backfire. Danzo begins as he sits in his office with a sealed scroll from Iwa, and Orochimaru stands with his arms folded. Tsunade's death had to have affected him more than we realized. Then discovering that his greatest failure is free in our adversary's country pushed him over the edge, Orochimaru adds his thoughts. Into the deep end? He murdered Onoki and was apprehended. This is not something that can be ignored, Danzo claims. Kukuku, do you believe Ghost is to blame? Given that he provided information about Naruto presence Kun's in Earth Country, states Orochimaru. He could be the boy or the fox has taken over him, Danzo begins, and Orochimaru arches an eyebrow before forming a smirk. Then either Naruto-kun has become extremely cunning, or the Kyuubi has resolved to exact its vengeance. Tsunadeheim and the other dead Kunoichi could be alive, according to Kukuku. Ino-chan did mention that 2 of these Kuroi Yuhi were as skilled as Tsunadeheim, states Orochimaru. Danzo leans back in his chair and exhales slowly. He refused to return to spring. He'll have collapsed by now, he begins. Jiraiya easily fell into his trap, but I'm curious how he convinced Jiraiya to murder Onoki, Danzo adds. What should we do? Iwa is still keeping things quiet, but the new Tsuchikage Kitsuchi has stated that he does not want to fight. Do we capitulate or abandon Jiraiya and, by extension, his spy network? States Orochimaru. This is what the boy desires. Our countries are fighting, but for what purpose? Kitsuchi is not as obstinate as Onoki or his granddaughter. If he declares war, we don't have Jinchuriki to fight them right now, Danzo asserts. 2 are still available. Taki's Jinchuriki and Sanbi on the mend. My spy says it won't be long before it returns, and I can send Gurren to Taki to take it from them. Because Sasuke-kun is still out of commission, the clan heirs can take care of the Sanbi. If war breaks out, they will require experience, Orochimaru elaborates. They have indeed been lax. Both missions have my approval. This gives us 2 Jinchuriki, but who will seal the Sanbi? Danzo asserts. What else, Sasuke-kun? His Sharingan will bring the beast to heel, but what about Jiraiya? States Orochimaru. Jiraiya has failed one too many times. He didn't bring me my weapon, and now he's killed Kage without my permission. He'll perish in Iwa. He will be excommunicated, Danzo asserts. This will not go down well with the daimyo, says Orochimaru, but Danzo laughs. That spineless man is only concerned with the fortune Jiraiya promised him from Uzushio. That entire family line is more concerned with wealth than with Konoha's power, Danzo asserts. Then Naruto-kun must be found, Orochimaru says with a tilt of his head. Konoha Memorial Park. Well, Sasuke-kun is now my demon lover, Ino says as he approaches Sakura's grave. Shikamaru rubs his chin as the blonde stands there with her arm in a sling. Will you show some remorse for the dead? 2 of our fellow freshmen have died, he claims. It was fate who took their lives for siding with a demon, Neji remarks as Hanabi kneels in front of Hinata's grave, sobbing softly. Fate does not control one's life. Naruto, I thought you saw that, Shikamaru claims. Neji scoffs, rubbing his now mark-free brow. The demon was not a human being, but rather a test of my fate. His and her deaths have finally freed me from my fate as a branch family member, he claims. Yeah, Naru Baka is dead, and no one will mourn him now that all the demon lovers have died, Ino says. How's Sasuke? Choji inquires. With a scowl on her face, Ino clenches her free hand. He still requires jaw surgery. That ghost guy deserved to be killed for what he did to Sasuke-kun, she claims. Sasuke had gotten in over his head. Ghost as an S-rank shinobi, but he now has to deal with the entire Konoha clan after him. As Kurenai approaches, Asuma interjects. Asuma sensei. You witnessed the fight with him as well. Something has been bothering me, Shikamaru says as he walks away from the cemetery. I did. Ghost is not someone to confront head-on. Having witnessed it firsthand, I can say. Many would find it difficult to oppose him. Guy, perhaps, with his speed, but even Kakashi was taken aback, declares Asuma. Kurenai remarks, he's like a ghost of Yondaime-sama. I would concur. Since only recently arriving on the scene. Saves the Kazekage and kills an S-rank missing nin, however, Shikamaru raises 2 fingers. Sasori the Red Sand should be added to the list. According to Hokage-sama, he is the leader of a group called Kuroi Yuhi, which is made up of Kunoichi. Mercy. Sen and Black Mamba are well known, with the latter accompanying him and Ino reporting the former, says Asuma. I remember her saying both Mercy and Sen had medical skills comparable to Tsunade-sama and both had persuaded the Godem to train them, Shikamaru says. Express yourself. I can tell you're planning something, says Asuma. Shikamaru sighs and looks up at the sky. Sensei, could Naruto still be alive? Asura and Kurenai's eyes widen. I know it sounds crazy, but recent events have caused a disturbing theory to manifest in my mind, Shikamaru continues. It's upsetting. Naruto was captured and killed, according to Jiraiya-sama. It is possible that he survived the extraction of his biju, but the chances are slim, Asuma says, adding, reports say Kushina survived her extraction. He pondered. Shikamaru, you should discuss this with Hokage-sama, Kurenai suggests. At the moment, it's just a theory. I should gather more evidence before approaching him. I don't want to get carried away with a passing thought, Shikamaru says as Choji closes in on them. Shikamaru, on the other hand, had no idea that his theory was correct. After a month, a geyser of dirt erupts through a mountainous graveyard of bones, with the source in a large crater being Naruto. His right arm was encrusted with iron sand, and 9 strange orbs floated behind him. He was dressed in dark blue cargo pants, black combat boots, a white button-up vest, and black gloves. Naruto stood tall and ran his left hand through his two-toned black and now blonde hair. Things are going swimmingly, and these Gudama are very interesting, he thought, his sand receding into a seal on his arm. Naruto-kun. Lunch has been prepared, above him, Hinata says. Naruto leaps out of the crater, but quickly slaps his hands together and repairs the damage. Thanks Hein, he says as he follows her into their new hideout, or rather, Obito's former hideout. He'd sent clones ahead of time to scout and catalog things in preparation for their arrival. Kuretsuchi had contacted him about what was going on in Iwa, as well as the fact that she was being watched by her own people. Naruto anticipated this by sending a reinforced Biju clone to perform the Sosei on her, providing her with 6 black tails and the means to prepare for a possible departure from Iwa. In the meantime, Naruto distributed copies of his little black book, and things were quiet, but he knew the various daimyo were confirming things on their own. Naruto and Hinata arrive at their makeshift lunch spot, where Anko and Itachi are waiting for them. Naruto had Sosei'd Itachi, giving her 8 tails like Tsunade and Hinata. Do you think that rumble we heard was you testing your 6-path power? Itachi asks, now dressed in black cargo pants. Black closed-toe kunoichi boots with a form-fitting sleeveless shirt over mesh armor top and arm-length black gloves. Naruto nods as he rotates his arm. Yes, using the Gudama and changing their shapes is becoming easier. The addition of iron sand is extremely beneficial. Sitting down, he says. How are you feeling? Asks Naruto. I'm feeling much better now, and the blindness in my eyes has gone away. So I won't have to transplant Sasuke's eyes, Itachi says, but frowns when her brother is mentioned. Stop bringing up the runt. When are we going to get rid of Otto? Anko joins in. When Kuretsuchi gets here, Naruto says, stuffing a dumpling into his mouth. How is she going to get out of Iwa with constant guard? Anko wonders. Kai Bunshin. She's been working on it for the past few days. When it comes to getting out, she has an 8-legged companion, Naruto elaborates. How is life in Iwa? Hinata inquires. They're keeping the assassination under wraps. Onoki was said to have died in his sleep, and Kitsuchi was given the name Yondaime Tsuchikage. Even though Onoki named Kuretsuchi, you can't win them all. Jiraiya lost an arm, but is kept alive as a bargaining chip. But don't worry. We'll get to him as soon as possible, Naruto elaborates. Kitsuchi is astute in keeping secrets. Kumo is still a potential opponent. Their Kage is in his prime, and both Jinchuriki are fully capable of using the Biju, Itachi adds his thoughts. Iwa is militarized as well, but Kumo is the most militarized of the big 5. If the Yondaime were a lesser man, he would go after Kiri or Konoha because neither has a Biju and Kiri is still recovering from the civil war, as stated by Naruto. Speaking of Kiri and Kumo. Who were our last members? Anko inquires, rolling his neck. When we go to Kiri and Kumo, you'll meet them. She's arranging for us to work in Kiri with no repercussions, and Kumo. Then we'll meet her, he responds, but Anko sighs. Naruto stretches like a fox and yawns as a puff of smoke erupts behind them, revealing Rachnera and Kuretsuchi sitting on her spider's back. Fufufu. One delivery from Earth Country for a Naruto Uzumaki, says Rachnera. Hey girl, says Naruto, and Kuretsuchi hops down. Hey boy, says Kuretsuchi. Rachne, has Arki slipped into Taki? Asks Naruto. Rachnera tucks her arms beneath her halter top. Yes, she and Lucas are looking. Do you want me to help them? She claims. No, but I need to keep an eye on Kuro's Bunshin, Naruto says, reaching into his cargo pocket, and here. It should be enough, he adds, tossing her a scroll. Rachnera tits with a lustful expression on her face. Mother will be overjoyed. Goodbye, honey, she says as a puff of smoke disappears. What was that? Anko inquires. Naruto rolls his eyes and gives a puzzled expression. My white items. It's remuneration for summoning the Spider Clan, he elaborates. You've got to give him your baby batter, Kuretsuchi says, yanking him forward by his vest. I want some baby batter, she says, flashing her tails. Anko chirps, second. Hinata and Itachi have pink cheeks, but Naruto puffs his cheek out, fine. We won't be leaving until tomorrow, he says this, and both titter, dragging him along with Hinata and Itachi. The following day. Naruto, Anko, Hinata, Itachi, and Kuretsuchi emerge from the mountain graveyard, dressed in the Kuroi Yuhi uniform of a white version of the Akatsuki cloak with black whirlpools. Kuretsuchi ditched her IWA uniform in favor of a red dress with only one sleeve that is open on both sides from the waist down, revealing white fishnet-covered legs and heeled combat boots. I hope Petamaru is there, Anko says, licking her lips, as the group takes off at Chunin speed towards the south and their destination Otto. I have my doubts. He's been staying in Konoha to put the people at ease because one Sannin is still present, Naruto makes a remark. How are we going to hit them? Itachi wonders. Hinata's Byakugan will find the entrance, and I'll dispatch my paths as vanguards. Orochimaru may not be present, but he may have a slew of traps, Naruto elaborates. As dark clouds form and approach the border of sound, the group accelerates. After crossing the border, Naruto created a slew of clones and dispatched them in all directions to look for signs of Otogakure. Kuretsuchi quickly constructed an earthen barrier to protect them from the rain, saying, it's now a waiting game. For the time being. I highly doubt Orochimaru would keep Otto out in the open, says Naruto. Hinata had her Byakugan trained on the surroundings, while Naruto sat motionless with his eyes closed. They quickly open with a rub of his head. Found it, says Naruto as he rises to his feet. Please follow me. We'll take a plane there, Naruto says as he floats skyward on his diva path. Show off, Kuretsuchi says, weaving a few signs. Doten, Kagegan no Jutsu, she thinks. Itachi, Anko, and Hinata exhale a sigh of relief as they fly up after Naruto. My grandfather always used this jutsu, Kuretsuchi says. Kachiyose no Jutsu, says Naruto, summoning a large bird with a drill beak and the Rinnegan in one eye as the others land on it. Hinata, take a look, Naruto says as the bird screeches its way toward the entrance of Otto. Hinata stretches her vision and gradually notices a large concentration of chakra in the distance. The strongest is Jonin level and it's familiar, she says, but her eyes widen. Kabuto. Oh ho ho ho. Taking out Kabuto would be a devastating blow to Petamaru, says Anko. Naruto weaves a few signs and summons his two paths, both wearing the Kuroi Yuhi uniform, but Obito now has white hair and multiple piercings, with a Rinnegan in one eye, and Obito still has his Sharingan. The drill bird begins to circle the area where his clone vanished. "Alright, let's get started," Naruto says as Hidan and Obito leap down. Obito grabs his right arm and wrenches it off in order to launch several missiles into the underground entrance. Hidan rushes forward into the shattered entrance as several auto shinobi rush after him, but the new Preda cuts them off. Obito follows behind, a blank expression on his face, killing anyone Hidan misses with his scythe. At the same time, deep within Auto Kabuto, he was watching the monitors, thinking, one is Hidan from the Akatsuki, but the other is unknown, but both have a Rinnegan. "What should we do, Kabuto-sama?" asks one Kunoichi. "Kill them so we can examine their bodies," Kabuto commands. Outside, Naruto and the others arrive in front of the demolished entrance. It appears that Kabuto was the most powerful shinobi. "The rest are just filler," he claims. "Can I come in?" asks Anko, and Naruto nods. Anko laughs and kisses Naruto's cheek before hurrying inside, while Naruto watches from Obito and Hidan's perspectives. "Are there any other entrances, Hinata?" asks Naruto, and Hinata looks around but shakes her head. "However, there's a maze of tunnels down below," Hinata explains. "How about we clear a path?" Kuratsuchi suggests, flashing several signs before slamming her hands into the ground. The ground rumbles and cracks open to the first level. "I'm entering." "The person who finds this Kabuto first wins," she exclaims, leaping in. Itachi says, "It's not a race," and Hinata nods. "Yeah. She's being sarcastic." "My paths will lead him to us," says Naruto, his arms folded within his cloak. Obito arrives at a large arena and drops down, causing several to rush at him, but he phases through them, cutting them with his serrated tail and arm blades. "You are a curious individual," Kabuto says, looking down from above. "I am just a ghost." "Kabuto Yukushi," Obito says. Kabuto pauses, but Obito throws a tri-prong at him before a white flash fills his vision and pain explodes in his right shoulder. Kabuto's eyes widen as he notices Naruto staring back at him with his right hand around his throat and a black rod in his left. "Who are you?" he exclaims. "What's the matter? Don't you remember me, Kabuto?" "We have a shady history," says Naruto, dropping the henge on his face. Despite the situation in front of him, Kabuto's eyes widen and a smirk forms on his face. "Naruto-kun. You've come a long way in 3 years. I hadn't noticed you before." As Naruto inserts another charka rod into Kabuto's stomach, he grunts. "Don't try to flatter me, Kabuto," Naruto says, revealing his fox features. "Interesting. You appear to have surpassed Sasuke-kun, but you had to become the very thing Konoha believes you were," Kabuto says, attempting to summon chakra but failing. "Ah yes. When we last met, you said I was playing ninja and that I'd never be as good as Sasuke. You even stated that I wasn't worth killing," Naruto says, his grip loosening slightly, but iron sand snakes out of his right sleeve and slowly covers Kabuto. "You are correct. In arrogance and ego, I'll never surpass Sasuke," Naruto says as he moves Obito and Hidan to finish wiping out the base. "I saw him not long ago. I shattered his arm, the jaw and the nose. But I do have to thank him for Rinnegan," Naruto says as he taps his left eye. "Sasuke never showed any signs of the Rinnegan," says Kabuto, but Naruto taps his cheek. "He had no idea. Sasuke and I are unique individuals. We are the reincarnation of the 2 sons of the Sage of 6 Paths. I reawakened half of the Sage's power 3 years ago and took the other half from Sasuke. He'll never know how strong he could have become," says Naruto. Naruto grasps Kabuto's head. This is usually where you try to talk yourself out of it. I appreciate your loyalty, but you make me sick, he says this while ripping Kabuto's knowledge and soul out. The iron sand recedes, and Kabuto collapses with a shocked expression on his face, but Naruto's ki slowly erupts. Anko and Kuretsuchi arrive at the arena, but both gasp at the pressure. 4 eyes must have irritated him, Anko says, as Kuretsuchi gulps. With a few breaths, Naruto gradually calms down and draws back his ki. Naru-kun, everything is fine, Anko exclaims. Naruto vaults the railing and glides down. Yeah, but Sasuke is truly scum of the earth, he says as he walks past them and deeper into the base. Kuretsuchi and Anko rush after him towards the lab area. What's in here? Kuretsuchi inquires. Naruto kicks open the door, emotionless, and says, "The remains of my family," shocking them both. A large glass cylinder appears, containing a deceased young woman with long red hair and a wound on her chest similar to the one Naruto carries on his chest. Karen Uzumaki was her name. She was originally from Kusa. Because she is a pure-blooded Uzumaki, Orochimaru used her to allow Sasuke to obtain his Mangekyo Sharingan and used her corpse for his experiments, Naruto says as he cracks the glass. Karen's body collides with him, and he shifts her onto a table. I knew Orochimaru was sick, but to desecrate the dead in such a way, Kuretsuchi says as he grabs a sheet to cover Karen. I am no different, but they serve a greater purpose, Naruto says, pulling out a medium-sized scroll. Karen will have her day to pay Sasuke back, Naruto says as he seals her into one of the spots, followed by Obito and Hidan. Are you going to make her one of your paths? Asks Anko. With a slow nod, Naruto seals the scroll into his arm. I will. She will then be laid to rest in our ancestral home. He holds back his rage and whispers. Come one, come all. Let us return to the surface, Naruto says as they both grab his shoulder and vanish. The trio resurfaces, and Hinata quickly pulls him into a hug, saying, "We felt your ki all the way up here." Itachi, concerned, inquires, "What happened?" Your brother continues to prove to me that he's the scum of the earth, Naruto says as he steps back from Hinata. Naruto summons his drill bird and climbs on, saying, I'm going to make sure this research never sees the light of day, as the bird flies up. As the bird begins to circle the area, Naruto levitates using his diva path, saying, return to nothingness, and raising his arms, Shinra Tensei. As a bright light erupts, Hinata and the others shield their eyes, but they soon widen as a massive crater quickly spreads, uprooting trees and dirt. The various tunnels within Auto collapse on top of one another, further burying the base and causing minor explosions. Kami. Is this the true power of the Rinnegan? Asks Kuretsuchi. Naruto lands on the bird, a solemn expression on his face. It is. We should leave because it will draw attention as the bird flies away, he says. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? Hinata asks, concerned. Naruto wore his hood and bowed his head. There were innocent people inside, he begins, rubbing his eyes. I saw them through the eyes of Obito and Hidan. They were used for experiments and as toys. I could see the pain on their faces. They were unable to be saved, Naruto adds, fists clenched. Hinata grabs him from behind and says, you shouldn't blame yourself. Hinata is correct. Despite the fact that they were killed, you relieved them of their pain. They are in a better situation, Itachi states. You're right, but I still killed innocent people, Naruto says as he pulls down his hood, and my faith in the Sandaime is eroding. He's let people like Danzo, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya run wild. He had the means to convict them for treason, but with a daimyo as a co-conspirator, I suppose he couldn't, he continues. Suddenly, a puff of smoke in the shape of Lucas appears in Naruto's lap, and he grabs the small spider before he blows away. "Big problem with Naruto," Lucas says. "What happened?" Naruto asks as he guides the drill bird down and dispels it near the sound's border. "Taki was robbed 2 days ago. People were murdered, and the beetle was captured," Lucas begins, surprising everyone except Naruto. "Do you know by who?" Naruto asks. Lucas leaps from the grasp of Naruto and transforms into a tall woman. This was the boss. Arki claimed she assassinated the village chief. He claims she wore red lipstick, had fair skin, dark eyes, and light blue hair in a spiky ponytail with long strands framing her face. Her ensemble includes a green dress with a long left sleeve and a short right sleeve, a red turtleneck with a white, fluffy collar, and brown gloves. She is dressed in a one-piece red suit underneath the dress. She is dressed in calf-length brown sandal boots. "Gurren," Naruto says, perplexing his companions. "She serves as Orochimaru's left hand, just as Kabuto serves as his right. She is extremely powerful and possesses a very rare Kekkei Genkai," Naruto elaborates. "Did you see the Nanabi user?" Hinata inquires, and Lucas transforms into a young girl once more. She's a petite, androgynous, tanned girl with an orange clip in her short, layered mint green hair that matched her eyes. Her outfit consists of a short white sleeveless midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long white armlets, and fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over it. Her name is Fu, but she was taken, Lucas says as he transforms and climbs up Naruto. Then Konoha has finally decided to make a bid for a new Jinchuriki, Anko says, nodding. "It appears so. Danzo will no doubt lock Fu away in a deep dark hole until he can reprogram her," says Naruto. "That leaves one Biju on the board that Konoha could take. Because of the tails, the Sanbi and Kiri could be sealed into anyone," Itachi states. "How about the Rokubi?" Kuretsuchi inquires. "He is traveling around Kiri, but one of our members' jobs overlaps with him. She wants us to find him and return him to Kirigakure." Itachi furrows her brow as Naruto explains. "Naruto-kun is this member of Kuroi Yuhi, the new Mizukage Mei Terumi," Itachi says, drawing everyone's attention to him. Naruto stood there with wide eyes, but sighs and nods slowly. "I met her while searching for the Rokubi container in Kiri. One thing led to another, and she may or may not have seduced me," he says, his cheeks slightly flushed and the last bit whispered. "So, basically, our group is your harem." "Tukun, na. Ru," in a sickeningly sweet voice, Anko says. Naruto gasps and turns to Hinata. "I didn't realize," he says, but Anko begins laughing. "I'm just messing with you." "We all adore you," says Anko. "Alright." Lucas returns to Arki and instructs her to go to Wave and inform the others. "We're on our way to Kiri," says Naruto. "Right. Bye," Lucas says and dismisses, before the group rushes towards the border in a blur. Kumogakure. Yugito enters the Raikage's office, where she is met by the Raikage's brother and tag team partner Killer B. He has dark skin, a muscular build, white hair, and a goatee. He is wearing oval-shaped sunglasses and a white forehead protector. He also wears the standard Kumo one strap over one shoulder flak jacket, a long, red rope belt tied around his waist, Kumo hand and shin guards, shinobi sandals, and a white scarf around his neck. "I'm curious what Brother desires. I should be getting ready for my show, eh?" Yogito rolls her eyes as B says. "Would you like to feel Raikage Iron Sama's claw again?" Yugito asks. B shudders as they approach his brother's office, where Darui, the Raikage's right-hand man and fellow Jinchuriki, awaits them. He's a tall, dark-skinned man with a slightly bulbous nose, black eyes that are usually bored, and shaggy white hair that covers his left eye. He's dressed in a high-collared, sleeveless uniform with loose-fitting pants, wrist bandages, and a one-strap over one shoulder flak jacket with tattoos on both arms. The kanji for water is on his right, and the kanji for iron is on his left, signifying his use of Kuro Kaminari as a student of the former Sandaime. "Boss is waiting inside," Darui says as he opens the door. The office was sparse, but there were several large dumbbells around the room, and the Yondaime Reikage Yatsuki sat at his desk with one in his hand. He is a large, muscular man with dark skin, white hair combed back, a small mustache, and a goatee. His face is defined by prominent cheekbones, tear troughs beneath his eyes, and a prominent crease across his forehead. He is dressed in a white haori with no shirt underneath and has black FMA shuriken tattoos on both shoulders as well as large, golden vambraces on his wrists. A gold belt around his waist with a carved boar's face in the center, torn black pants, Kumo Nin shin guards, and shinobi sandals. Mabui, his advisor, sat next to him, her green eyes calm, her light gray hair pulled back into a bun with two bangs framing her face. She is a young woman with dark skin who is dressed formally in a long-sleeved, high-collar dress shirt and skirt, as well as a pair of long earrings and sandals. "Did you request Reikage-sama?" Yugito inquires. A lowers his dumbbell and reclines in his chair. "What do you know about the Spring Ghost?" "He's made quite a name for himself," he inquires. "I met him by chance about a year ago. He is powerful, and he alerted me to the Akatsuki threat to myself and Darui," Yugito elaborates. "How generous of him, or a trap," A says, cupping his chin in thought. Matabi has faith in him. He told her no lies, but his power is comparable to or greater than that of a cage. If the destruction of the Land of Sky and the retrieval of the K's cage are any indication, Yugito declares. Not to mention that he murdered two S-class missing nin. Iwa refers to him as the Ghost of the Flash. Having seen him in action, Darui says, yawning slightly. Hey. I want to fight him, Darui, Gyuki says, as Darui sighs. Only if the boss considers him a threat, Darui reasoned, prompting the wolf to scoff. Brother, he's a smooth criminal. What are we going to do? B inquires. We'll stay out of it for the time being. Iwa now has a new Tsuchikage, and Konoha has a new cage. One who is a well-known warhawk. Suna and Kiri, the new cages, can also be included. Things are shifting, A makes a comment. Do you think one of the other great villages will launch an attack? Yugito inquires. A chuckles and takes up a file, saying, Konoha would try something. What is that? Inquires the B. This was delivered to the daimyo a week ago. The short version is that Konoha's Rokudame sold Uzushio to Iwa behind the Sandaime's back. Kiri and us in an attempt to get rid of a potential foe. Even conspired with people like Hanzo of AIM. Danzo Shimura's long shadow can be traced back to many of the shinobi's world problems. Yugito, Darui, and B are shocked as A explains. Where did you get this information? Yugito inquires. Although it was anonymous, the book includes information from Uzushio and the late Sandaime Hokage. It even depicts the fire daimyo in a harsh light, Mabui elaborates. Even if it turns out to be false, which I find difficult to believe. Hai no Kuni and Konohagakure are depicted in a very distorted light. Of course, they will deny it, but the damage has already been done. Every daimyo of note would receive a copy and do with it as they pleased, according to a letter included with the copy, A elaborates. A-sama is right. The political world is a dangerous place. The person who sent this out did so in order to paint Fire Country in a negative light. Perhaps to elicit a response, Matabi makes a remark, and Yukito mentally nods. What shall we do, Reikage-sama? Yugito inquires. A strokes his mustache briefly. For the time being, we will remain neutral. However, I'm curious about his ghost and his group Kuroi Yuhi. Konoha's entry on him says he travels frequently, but he is currently stationed in Spring Country. His group is made up of Kunoichi, the exact number of which is unknown, but the name Black Mamba. Sen and Mercy are well-known colleagues. However, I am aware of two more. Widowmaker and Wolf. They killed Ram and Rem for us, he claims. Could we contact them for work, brother? Asks the bee. It's possible, but Konoha wants him dead. He might disappear for a while, but I might be able to track him down. A begins and holds up a piece of paper. Suna and Konoha have organized a joint Chunin exam. Suna will host the first half, and Konoha will host the finals. It's a good venue for exposure, and Kuroi Yuhi or Ghost himself might show up. Yugito, I'd like you to lead a team to the exams. Look for Ghost or any other Kuroi Yuhi members. If you find him, I'd like to meet him, A continues. Reikage-sama, you are correct. I will give it my all, Yugito says, bowing. Should we use Naruto's kunai to meet with him? Asks Matabi as Yu-Gi-Oh excuses herself. No, Naruto may disagree with Kumo. We will look for him as the Reikage directed, but if he does not appear at the exams, I will use the kunai, Yugito pondered. Meanwhile, A reclines in his chair. Ghost is a fascinating individual. I'm curious if he's as quick as I am, he pondered. Boss, do you really want to meet with this Ghost? Darui asks. I do. His quickness fascinates me. He might be as quick as B or me. If Iwa believes he's as fast as Minato Namikaze, I'd like to put him to the test, A declares. Konohagakure. How could something like this get out? Exclaims the daimyo. Danzo sits across from the man as he rants and raves about the revelation of their dealings. The daimyo had arrived in Konoha with a samurai contingent and demanded to meet with the Hokage. Despite the fact that the cage tower was being rebuilt, the group was currently meeting in a meeting room on the lower levels. I have no idea, but Hiruzen appears to be far more cunning than I previously thought. This could have been planned before his death. I will investigate this further, Danzo says, his disgust for the weak-willed man hidden. Even if the leak is discovered, the damage has already been done. Several of my fellow daimyo have sent missives inquiring if this was true. Even if I denied it, the suspicion remains. Danzo, you assured me that selling out the Uzumaki was the best option and that you would get me their fortune. The boy, however, has been missing for 3 years, the daimyo declares. Reports have surfaced that the boy may be in Earth Country, Danzo says, but the daimyo cuts him off. Earth Nation? Iwa then has 3 Jinchuriki. This is a disaster. My Earth counterpart has been looking for a reason to bring me down in the political arena, and now he has the Kyuubi and a younger Cage in his possession. How much longer until he decides to attack? The daimyo yells. Calm down, daimyo-sama. Orochimaru's left hand has brought us the Nanabi Jinchuriki, and once it reforms, the Konoha rookies will be capturing the Sanbi in a matter of weeks. It will be sealed within Sasuke Uchiha, and his Sharingan will be able to subjugate any of the other beasts, Danzo asserts. Regardless, the die has been cast. My reputation will suffer. You promised me riches, but you let me down. This must be corrected, the daimyo says as he walks away with his guards. What a weak-willed individual. Curse his entire family line. Hiruzen, you kept secrets, but how did they get out? But why wait so long, the boy? Danzo pondered. Danzo says, Torun. Fu. Sai, and the 3 appear. Sai has short, straight black hair and dark eyes, which contrast with his pale skin. He's dressed in a short black and gray jacket with red straps, a high-collar midriff shirt, black pants, shinobi sandals, and gloves that expose his index and thumb fingers. Fu is a handsome young man with auburn hair and amber eyes. He, like the rest of Root, wears a short black jacket with red straps on the shoulders. A red short kimono with a black sash, a pair of black gloves, dark-colored pants, and regular shinobi sandals are also worn under the jacket. Torun is a tall and lean man with fair skin and short spiked dull black hair. He is heavily clothed, as are many Aburame, and wears a full face mask with only his nose and mouth visible through his glasses. I have a task for you. I want you to go to Earth Country and find Jiraiya. If that is not possible, then mind dive his mind and dispose of him. Danzo and the others vanish. Sacrificing a Sannin. I feel so lucky to be the only one still alive. Orochimaru says. A necessary cost. Is Sasuke on the move yet? Danzo inquires. He is bitter about his defeat at the hands of Ghost Kun. He's devoting himself entirely to training. He should be ready to go once the Sanbi appears, states Orochimaru. Our mole will report in a few weeks. We must protect it. The Nanabi is under my command, but she will need more time to adjust to her new role. However, notice the frown on Orochimaru's face. What? Danzo inquires. Otto has collapsed. Totally wiped out. The damage I attribute to the Akatsuki. Pain's Rinnegan is capable of such devastation, states Orochimaru. Kabuto arrived with Karen's body. Although I have enough of her DNA here, Kabuto was my right hand, Orochimaru continues. We should have taken the Rinnegan then, Danzo says. Indeed. I attempted to obtain it during my time at Akatsuki, but Pain proved to be a formidable foe. I'll notify my other labs and burn them. There is no need for Akatsuki to acquire my work, Orochimaru says, both unaware of Akatsuki's death. Sato Kirigakure. In the waiting room of Kirigakure's Godem Mizukage, Naruto sighs with a stream of smoke. Mei Terumi is the epitome of a cougar, drawn to young and virile men. She also has a nasty habit of misinterpreting words and misinterpreting what people say because she is 31 years old. Menma-san. Godem-sama will see you now, says the secretary. Naruto extinguishes his cigarette and enters Mei's office, opening the door where Mei was sitting at her desk. Ao, her advisor, stood next to her, his lone eye scrutinizing him. He is a middle-aged man with blue hair that has been moused up. Ah, thank you for coming, Menma-san, says Mei. She has fair skin and is tall and slender. She has green eyes and auburn hair that is ankle-length and styled in a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band, and 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs are short, one of which covers her right eye, and 2 are long, crossing on her bust just below her chin. She is dressed to the ankles in a dark blue dress with a slit up to her thighs, detached sleeves and neckline but linked with mesh material. She wore a black sash around her waist, black stockings, knee-length boots, and black gloves. It is my pleasure. I assume you read my letter, says Naruto as he pulls a scroll from his cargo pocket. Inside is the Samahata, but I unfortunately destroyed Kisami's body, Naruto says as he hands the scroll to Ao. Mei smiles and waves her hand. That's perfectly fine. Take the Samahata to the armory, Ao, she claims. Ao nods and bows slowly, but gives Naruto a dirty look to excuse himself. Take a long lunch and cancel all my appointments for the day, Mei says as she presses a button on her desk. Yes, Godem-sama, the secretary says, but outside, Naruto hears, that poor man. She's a man-eater. Has he contacted them? asks Naruto after clapping his hands and erecting a barrier. I will kill him, Mei says as she rises from her desk with a scowl. Not like they'll get their hands on Isobu, Naruto says, closing the distance between them. Reports of a strange phenomenon near one of the islands have been coming in, Mei says. Naruto takes a seat on a long sofa, and Mei sits next to him. Konoha will undoubtedly begin to move. They've got Chome and Fu. My clones are on the hunt for Utakata. Do you know where you're going? He claims. I do. Mei begins, running her gloved hand down his chest. You know Naruto-kun. I was about to send some of my hunter nin after you. These little boys are an inadequate substitute, she claims. Sorry about that, Mei-chan, but I have been dealing with a lot of things lately, Naruto says, clipping his eyes to her green orbs, but Mei straddles him. I know it takes time to change the world, but that doesn't mean you can neglect your women, Mei coos, capturing his lips and wrapping her arms around his neck. We should do the Sensei first, Naruto says, running his hands along her supple back and feeling her pantyhose. Mei pulls back, licking her blue-covered lips. We ought to. Because you have marked the others, I feel left out. I'm sure she shares my sentiments, she says as she climbs off of him, and he nods. Naruto rises from his seat, and they both create a clone to fool the others. Ever made love on the beach? He asks, grasping her shoulder and disappearing. Lucky bitch, Mei's clone says as he returns to Mei's paperwork, and Naruto's clone laughs. On the island of Uzushio, the real Mei and Naruto reappear, and he drops his henge, revealing his Rinnegan. You now have the Eye of the Sage as well, says Mei. I now have the yin and yang power of the Sage of Six Paths, Naruto says as he places his hands on Mei's back. Mei cries out as Naruto's Biju chakra floods her body, revealing auburn fox ears on her head and 8 auburn with white tip tails. As Naruto finishes, Mei falls to her knees and whispers, I feel so much stronger. Indeed. Let us now acclimate you to your new body, Naruto says as he helps Mei to her feet. I can think of a way to get used to my body, Mei says with a seductive smile. That comes after, says Naruto, to which Mei scoffs. Mei and Naruto reappear in her office 3 hours later, the former looking haggard and Naruto sporting a cheeky grin. I need a bath, Mei says as she grabs Naruto's collar, and sex, she adds with a sickeningly sweet smile, and Naruto gulps. Content, Mei-chan? Asks Naruto, and Mei laughs with a lick of her lips. Adequate, laughs Mei. Has the daimyo spoken to you yet? Asks Naruto. He did and is very curious about your little black book, Mei says, slipping out of bed with a groan. It makes no difference whether he believes it or not. The doubt exists, and that is sufficient, Naruto makes a remark. Indeed. Konoha has used its glory to hide their dark deeds and used my country as their weapon, Mei says with a growl as she returns to bed. I will melt that Uchiha into a puddle of lava, Mei says darkly as she sits next to Naruto, her fingers caressing the Chidori scar on his chest. Hee hee. You've got a line. Let's disregard that. We'll go out tomorrow to find Isobu. I'll pick up Hinata and make my way to the island, as stated by Naruto. I'll send Ao along with you. Make it appear as if Konoha murdered him, Mei says, and Naruto laughs. I can arrange that, Naruto says as he straddles her, adding, now it's your turn to be my doll, and Mei titters, licking her lips. The following day. Naruto, Hinata, Kuretsuchi, Itachi, Anko, and Ao were on their way to the island, where there had been reports of strange animals. Ao-san. What is the name of the area? Naruto inquires. It's called the Lake of Spirits, Ao says, looking over at Naruto and his forces. Hinata was wearing her special cloth over her eyes, but she was able to see the Byakugan in Ao's right eye. "So this is the place?" he asks as the group arrives at a small dock with 2 small boats. "It is. According to the reports, this is the main location," Ao responds, looking around. Naruto exercises his senses and selects several signatures. "So, Ao-san, when will the other team arrive?" he inquires. As Naruto turns his back on them, Ao's visible eye narrows. "What other team?" he asks. "Fufufufu. The one from Konoha," Anko says with a smirk, and Ao spins around. A chirping bird catches Ao's ear, but it's too late because Naruto's hand is sticking out his chest. "Mei knows you're a traitor, Ao, but don't worry. You'll be instrumental in bringing Konoha down," pulling his arm free, he says. Ao collapses with a gurgle of breath and a pool of blood forming. Naruto flips Ao over and removes his stolen eye, then seals it and his body in separate scrolls. "Alright. Let's get this party started. Our fellow rookies are nearby," says Naruto. "Are we killing any of them?" inquires Anko. "No. Break them. But keep Shikamaru as a hostage," says Naruto as Naruto climbs into the boat and ships off with a burst of futon. The 4 women nod and shunshin away. Meanwhile, the rookies and Sasuke were making their way to the lake when Lee exclaimed, "Yosh, let's catch this demon." "I'll be like Dobi," Sasuke says. "Why didn't you bring Taka?" "Sasuke-kun?" Ino asks, but Sasuke laughs. "I don't need them to do this," says Sasuke. When the group arrived at the dock, one of the boats was gone and there was a puddle of blood. "This is fresh. A fight," Shikamaru thought. Shikamaru says, "Shino, send out your Kakaichu. We might have company. You won't have to look far." "Konoha scum," Anko says, his voice echoing around them. Everyone is on guard as laughter echoes around them. "So these are famed Konoha Crush rookies, but it appears 3 are missing," Kuretsuchi remarks. "Oi, show yourself!" yells Kiba, while Akamaru barks. Neji activates his Byakugan and searches the surroundings. "Don't bother with your Byakugan. We can easily counter that." "Cinnamon, you are correct," says Anko. "I'm inclined to agree," Hinata says as they reveal their true identities to the Konoha shinobi. Shikamaru says, "Kuroi Yuhi." With a smirk on her face, Anko tilts her head. "It came in 1. Ghost is correct to be tired of you." "Raven, you're correct." She claims Itachi and Kuretsuchi appear in the background, wearing blank masks. "It doesn't really matter. Our lad is aiming for the Sanbi. He was aware of your plans before you even left," Kuretsuchi frowns. Sasuke charges forward, his Chikudo aimed at Kuretsuchi, but Itachi blocks him with her own. "Oi, go after Ghost!" screams Sasuke, grabbing Itachi's sword. "Lee, Choji, and Shino are all with me. Can you handle Neji, Kiba, Tenten, and Ino?" Shikamaru expresses himself. While the 4 leap off the dock and run on the lake, Neji goes for Hinata and Kiba goes for Anko. As Kuretsuchi stood on the dock, Sasuke and Itachi vanished. "Ah. I got the short end of the stick," she says to Ino and Tenten. "What did you say, bitch?" exclaims Ino. Kuretsuchi removes her hood and mask, revealing blood-red hair and soulless black eyes, and asks, "Are you deaf and dumb?" Tenten unfurls a scroll as Ino rushes forward with a pair of kunai, but Kuretsuchi shakes her head. Hinata vs. Neji. Hinata dances gracefully through the reach of Neji, pretending, "So this is the famed Juken." As Hinata flows like water, Neji continues forward in a straight line. How is she avoiding me? Tenketsu should be closed by now, he pondered. Hinata breaks open his stance and connects with her own palm strike, staggering Neji but knocking him down with a spinning heel kick. You are very rigid in your movements, Hinata says as he gets to his feet and wipes some dirt off his face. He charges forward again, and Hinata easily avoids him. Also very predictable, she mocks, kicking out Neji's legs with shunshin and a low kick. How? She's blind, yet she outperforms me with each move, Neji thought as he rose to his feet and assumed the Juken once more. Hinata sighs and stretches out her nails, coating them with Biju chakra. Neji begins to move, but Hinata blinks in front of him and rakes her finger across his eyes, causing him to cry out in pain, but she wasn't finished. Hinata connects with a powerful punch to the ribs, a few cracks, and a palm strike to the chin, and Neji collapses into a heap. Hinata, you are amazing. That was both sensual and brutal, Anko says as she descends with two clones carrying Kiba and Akamaru. You've already defeated them, Hinata says, dragging Neji off the path. As her clones dump Kiba and Akamaru, Anko scoffs, Hana taught me how to deal with an Inuzuka. A small poison cloud and snake bites. Done and dusted, she claims. Itachi vs. Sasuke. Chidori Nagashi. Roars Sasuke, driving his Chikudo into the ground. Itachi slams her hands into the dirt and leaps with an earthen wall to avoid the lightning. Where is Ghost? I'm going to drop your corpse at his feet and kill him for his affront to me, Sasuke exclaims. Foolish little brother, Itachi says, and Sasuke comes to a halt. How do you know those words? Exclaims Sasuke. Itachi shakes her head and removes her mask, widening and filling Sasuke's eyes with rage. Itachi. Sasuke yells, but then freezes as Itachi's henge falls. The Itachi you knew was a mask created by Mother and I. This is my true self, Itachi says. Sasuke clenches his teeth and charges Itachi, but she deftly avoids her brother's rage-filled attack. I don't mind. I will kill you in order to avenge our clan. I finally have your eyes, Sasuke yells, shifting to his Mangekyo Sharingan, which transforms into 3 intersecting ellipses. Itachi shifted to her own Mangekyo of 3 spiraling curves around the pupil, thinking, how could he get it? Even if our clan wanted to start another war, Itachi says. What? Screams Sasuke, weaving several signs, Kaiten. Gokakyu no Jutsu. He roars. Itachi flashes several symbols and fires a stream of water, causing a plume of steam to form. Father sought to depose the Sandaime and plunge the village into civil war, igniting a 4th shinobi war, Itachi writes. So what? We Uchiha deserve to rule. We are superior, Sasuke exclaims, lightning coating his sword. You have inherited father's arrogance, and those in the village have only fueled it, Itachi says, driving her Chikudo into his back, but Sasuke melts into white snakes. Die, Sasuke yells, his Chidori flaring. As Sasuke's fist collides with a lightning discharge, a red aura surrounds Itachi and red ribs form. Sasuke jumps back, a rage on his face, but a sinister grin forms as a purple aura forms around him, forming purple ribs. So a weakling like you has the Susanoo, sneers Sasuke as he forms the upper half of the skeleton. So this is how far your eyes have evolved, Itachi says before dropping her Susanoo, surprising Sasuke. What exactly are you doing? Bitch, fight me, but Itachi shakes her head as Sasuke says. I thought my sweet little brother was still inside you, but I was mistaken. You've turned into a black hole of hatred. I don't need to fight you anymore. Goodbye, my bumbling little brother, Itachi says as he bursts into crows. Come back and fight me, murderer, roars Sasuke, punching the ground with his Susanoo. Naruto steps out of the boat, looks around, and places his hand on the water, channeling his Biju chakra. A few moments pass as the calm water begins to bubble and churn, but Naruto remains focused, thinking, "Here you come." Slowly, 3 massive shrimp-like tails emerge, followed by a crab-like shell with numerous spikes. There is red, muscle-like tissue beneath the shell, as well as human-like arms and hands, but no hind legs. His face is hidden behind a large forehead and lower jaw, both of which have spikes, and his eyes are red with crimson pupils, but only one is open. Isobu lets out a massive roar that reaches several miles and puts an end to the various fights. "Isobu, it's great to see you in all your glory," Naruto exclaims, adding chakra to his voice. Isobu looks down as Naruto looks up. "How do you have father's eyes and smell like kurama?" he asks, his voice trembling. Naruto uses his diva path to float up to Isobu's eye and says, "Kurama used the Sensei to save me," before landing on Isobu's jaw. "Show me," Isobu says as he raises his left arm, and Naruto places his right hand on it. "You are the one father mentioned." "The child who would know all our names," Naruto says as his body seizes as Isobu passes some of his chakra. Naruto smiles softly and rubs his eyes. "Perhaps, but Son Goku and Kakuo blame me for Kurama's death," he says as he looks up. "We'll have to cut our discussion short. Ninja have returned to seal you away once more." "I can't let that happen," Naruto says, and a clone appears. "He'll take you to a hidden place where no harm will come to you." "Dropping down," he says. Shikamaru and the others arrive at Isobu just as Naruto lands, hood up but Rinnegan glowing. "You will not go any further. Isobu is not yours to possess," Naruto states. Shikamaru exchanges glances with Isobu and Naruto. This is not good. The presence of Ghost and Kuroi Yuhi jeopardizes everything. "To subdue the Sanbi, we need Sasuke's Sharingan," Shikamaru pondered. "I didn't think Konoha would be so arrogant as to send such a large team to Mizu and steal a Biju from another country. However, given your new Hokage, I am not surprised," as stated by Naruto. Isobu, on the other hand, vanishes in a white flash, leaving Naruto and his former comrades behind. "What happened?" exclaims Choji. "He teleported the Sanbi away," Shikamaru says, preparing to attack. "That is most unyouthful of him," Lee says. Shino adjusts his glasses with a blank expression. "My Kakaichu is unable to approach him. His chakra is extremely foul," he claims. "So, Shikamaru, what now? Your primary goal has been achieved, and you now face an S-rank shinobi. Numbers will not save you. I could kill you all before you get to the beach," says Naruto, slamming his hand on the water, summoning Obito. "What do we do, Shikamaru?" Choji inquires. Shikamaru's brow is dripping with sweat. He is correct. If the reports are correct, he is as quick as the Yondaime Hokage or Raikage. One of us would have distracted him so that the others could flee. He says this, surprising his comrades. "That would be the correct response, but who should be sacrificed?" says Naruto. Shikamaru looks at Naruto and then at Choji. "It has to be me. I need to make sure it's Naruto in front of us." He reached into his pouch, thinking. Choji. "Run," Shikamaru says, but pain erupts in his gut and his eyes widen as Naruto smacks him in the face. "Bad move, Shika," he says, tossing him towards Obito. Before Choji and the others can react, the new Asura catches Shikamaru and sucks him into his eye. "Shikamaru?" Choji exclaims, but Naruto laughs. "Don't squander his sacrifice. Run, Konoha. Return to your arrogant Hokage and inform him. I'll track down Fu and tear apart his village to find her." As Obito fades away, Naruto says. Lee yells, "You will pay, unyouthful ghost," but his eyes widen. Naruto's chakra rod is buried in his back, and his left hand is wrapped around his neck in a rear choke. Let this serve as a lesson for you, Lee. Never bite those who feed you. Two people are responsible for your continued existence, and you have betrayed both, he hisses and snaps it off. Take this garbage and leave. You only get one shot, tossing Lee into Shino and disappearing in a swirl of water, Naruto says. Naruto returns to the deck and notices Tenten's unconscious body. Where's Ino? He inquires. Kuretsuchi twitches and points to the shore, where Ino was hidden inside a small crater. Any challenge? Asks Naruto, to which Kuretsuchi scoffs with a smirk. Blonde is weak, and Bun Girl is all about weapons. Nothing else, says Kuretsuchi. Hinata and the others arrive, and he asks, all done? They all nod. Naruto throws the scroll with Ao to Anko, return to Kiri and inform Mei of the situation. I'll go to the island and meet up with Isobu, he claims. Did you get Shikamaru? Asks Hinata, and Naruto nods. Once I get Isobu settled, I'll pick you all up and we'll head to Wave and lay low for a bit, Naruto says before disappearing in a flash and shunshin away. Uzushio. With a roll of his neck, Naruto appears on the shore of Uzushio and pulses his chakra. Soon after, Isobu rises from the ocean and appears on the beach. Is it appropriate? Asks Naruto. It will suffice because the waters are deep. Will you also bring the others? Isobu inquires. Naruto leaps onto Isobu's chin, I intend to. This island is naturally protected by whirlpools, but I also added a large-scale barrier seal that is powered by natural energy and creates a mist to conceal the island, he elaborates. Do you think my siblings will go along with this plan? They might get along well with their container. We were on equal footing before Yagura was corrupted, Isobu inquires before sliding back into the ocean. Naruto lands on Isobu's head. My goal is to seize the Biju from the shinobi nations and destroy the Jinchuriki system. I know this will irritate my fellow Jinchuriki, but it must be done, he claims. This is not the world father envisioned, says Isobu. I'm curious. Is it possible for a Biju and a container to remain linked even after they've been separated? So, even if they are separated, they can still communicate with one another, Naruto inquires. It is feasible. We do have a shared mindscape, but you would need to try this with someone, Izubu declares, while Naruto cups his chin. When that bridge comes, I'll cross it. I'm curious about the time Shukaku shared his chakra with me. I was able to exert control over magnetic forces, says Naruto. Your affinity for Sweden will become more natural, and you will be able to create a hallucinogenic mist, Isobu explains, and Naruto smirks. That will be very useful. Thank you very much. I'll go back to the island. I'll try to communicate with you once I've settled in, says Naruto. This is acceptable. Stay safe, Naruto Uzumaki, Isobu says, and Naruto vanishes as he moves beneath the waves. Naruto reappears on the island and proceeds to the underground bunker, thinking, now then. Naruto summons Obito, who brings Shikamaru out of the Kamui dimension before slapping him with several suppression seals. Shikamaru is carried to one of the cells and chained by his leg while Naruto waits for him to awaken. Shikamaru coughs and looks around, surprised, as Naruto sits backwards in a chair outside the cell. Naruto, it's you. Otherwise, I'd be dead, Shikamaru expresses himself. Naruto rests his chin on his palm and begins, how troublesome you are, Shika, before popping a lollipop into his mouth. How many people know that Ghost and I are the same person? Says Naruto. Shikamaru attempts to summon his chakra, but Naruto snorts, suppression seals aren't worth it. So, Nara, Answer my question, he claims. Naruto, you've changed. How inconvenient. Only Asuma Sensei and Kurenai Sensei are present. Before going to the Hokage, I wanted to be certain, Shikamaru expresses himself. Intriguing. It doesn't really matter. For 3 years, I've remained under their radar. After a small drag, Naruto muses. So, Tsunade-sama and the others are still alive, and you blew up the Hokage Tower, Shikamaru says. Don't forget I stole the sacred scroll and published a little black book that has your daimyo shitting his fancy pants, says Naruto. Shikamaru rubs his wrists as he looks at Naruto. Why did you fabricate their deaths? We lamented their deaths, he says, but Naruto snorts and laughs quietly. Correction. Only you and Hanabi Hyuga were saddened by the deaths. The village interpreted it as the death of demon lovers. Hinata's father didn't care if his daughter died, as stated by Naruto. That is not correct. People wept, Shikamaru counters, sighing, look Naruto. I'm sorry I did what I did, but, he continues. But it was too difficult to side with the others. Nonetheless, they chose to keep my memory alive and fight for it. While Danzo and his lackeys poisoned the village, causing it to despise me. I've said it before, but Danzo was wise to say it again. He suspected I was lurking in the shadows and made certain I had nowhere to sleep, as stated by Naruto. So it is now, Shikamaru observes. My intention is to level the playing field by removing the Jinchuriki. Such a system has existed for far too long. Too many people have been sacrificed to satisfy the cage's greed. Biju are not mindless chakra constructs, but rather living, thinking beings. The Sage of Six Paths created this. They've been used as tools for arrogant people for years. That is something I intend to change, Naruto explains while smirking. I also have a personal goal of destroying Konoha and all living souls within, Naruto says, widening Shikamaru's eyes. You want to kill everyone in Konoha, but innocent people live there. You cannot, Shikamaru yells, but Naruto stares, his face partially obscured. In Konoha, there are no innocent people. Danzo took care of it. Shikamaru the Great Tree, on the other hand, must be burned to the ground. You see, I can detect negative emotions, and Konoha is choked on them, as stated by Naruto. What? How come you've never demonstrated that ability? Shikamaru claims Naruto folds his arms and rests his chin on the chair. You still remember me from back then. When Jiraiya tried to bring me to Danzo, Kurama saved me with an ancient jutsu. In essence, that jutsu transformed me into the new Kyuubi no Kitsune. He gave me negative sensing, he says this, and his 9 tails and ears emerge, but one tail has changed to a dark gray. So, in a way, I've become the person Konoha always imagined me to be. I eagerly await the day when I can transform into my full fox form and crush Konoha, but this time there will be no Yondaime to save you. Your Rokudame is unlikely to make such a sacrifice, Naruto continues. Shikamaru feels a pang of fear, so what now? Kill me, he says. Shikamaru, you get to live. You have the potential to be redeemed. You get to see Konoha's devastation and hope for its redemption, says Naruto. Shikamaru was about to retort when Naruto's eyes glazed over and a wide grin formed. Wow, Danzo continues to exceed my expectations, Naruto muses, but notices Shikamaru's confused expression. Danzo dispatched his best men to Iwa to capture Jiraiya, but the plan backfired spectacularly. I've already gotten Jiraiya out and left a surprise for a Kaibunshin. When Yamanaka sank his brain, a special seal activated, trapping them in the cell and imprinting chakra suppressors on them. Isn't Fuinjutsu incredible? Only your imagination limits you, as stated by Naruto. How could you know that? Asks Shikamaru, as Naruto grins. Look to your left, says Naruto, and Shikamaru does, but only sees a small spider. In the vault, I discovered the summon contract for the Spider Clan. They are ideal for espionage. That's how I knew you were after Isobu, Naruto says as he rises from his seat and opens the cell door. Naruto takes a large scroll and throws it to Shikamaru. There is enough water and food inside to last a month. You can relieve yourself by stretching the chain, he says this while leaving the cell door open. In a month, I'll transfer you to my secondary base. Shika, consider your sins, Naruto says as he walks away, leaving Shikamaru alone. Naruto arrives on the surface and creates several hundred clones. Work on Suiten and add Isobu abilities, he orders before disappearing in a white flash. Kirigakure. Naruto walks towards Kirigakure's gate, but a smirk forms on his face as one of his clones approaches two people, one of whom is the elusive Rokubi Jinchuriki. He is a tall, thin young man with pale golden eyes and shoulder-length brown hair. He's dressed in a long, light blue kimono with a small emblem of 3 bubbles on the back and gray pants with an orange sash. His companion is a young woman with fair skin, dark green eyes, and long wavy blonde hair that reaches her back. She is dressed in a violet kimono with white trimmings tied with a black obi, black shorts with a shuriken holster underneath a slit black skirt with red trimmings, violet arm warmers, and black shinobi boots. Utakata. You are a very elusive man, says Naruto. Utakata remains silent and follows Naruto inside Kirigakure. My clone told you everything? Naruto inquires, and Utakata nods slowly. You want to relieve me of my burden, Utakata says. You consider being a Jinchuriki to be a burden. I'll admit it, but the world has made it a burden, Naruto makes a remark. The three arrived at the Mizukage Tower and proceeded to Mei's office, where they encountered Hinata, Anko, Itachi, and Kuretsuchi. Welcome home, Utakata, Mei says, but Utakata is silent. Naruto takes off his hood and sits on the sofa, asking, They told you everything? Yes. I'll add an entry on Sasuke Uchiha for murdering Ao and Konoha for trespassing in Mizu, Mei says, a slight smirk on her face. Who are you people? Asks Hotaru. Naruto sighs and leans back on the sofa. Kuroi Yuhi is our name. They are Black Mamba, Cinnamon, Terra, and Raven, and I am Menma, he claims. Why do you want the Rokubi? Asks Utakata. Naruto sighs once more. By removing Jinchuriki, I hope to level the playing field between the nations. I'm going to break that wheel once and for all. I've already started with Isobu. He's safe and secure. I'd like to do the same for all of the Biju, he elaborates. That would kill Shisho, says Hotaru, as Utakata looks at her. Hotaru. Quiet, says Utakata. Though true. The extraction would kill him, but with this eye. I can revive him with no problem, Naruto says, pointing to his Rinnegan. I had Kuroi Yuhi find you, Utakata. So, if you want, you can return to Kirigakure, Mei says, but Utakata shakes his head. I have no desire to get involved in shinobi matters, Utakata says. All the more reason to get rid of your Biju. We simply prevented Konoha ninja from claiming the Sanbi, Anko claims. I concur. The new Hokage is a well-known warhawk who has already stolen Taki's Nanabi. Boundaries are meaningless to him, Itachi asserts. Perhaps we should talk to Seiken about it, Naruto says as he rises from the sofa, grabbing Utakata's shoulder and shoving them to the roof. Does Seiken know how to get to the shared mindscape? Asks Naruto, and Utakata nods slowly before sitting back to back. The two gradually enter a meditative state, and everything fades away until Naruto finds himself in a large space. Utakata was also present, sitting on top of Seiken's head. He's a bipedal slug with stubby arms, feet, and 6 long tails. He has 2 prominent optical tentacles and a mouth with hole-like openings, and his entire body is covered in a thick, slimy substance. Hello there, Seiken. At one point, Naruto says, sending a mental pulse isobue soon appears in the shared mindscape. It worked, hee. It has to be the chakra you gave me, says Naruto. A reasonable conclusion. Seiken, it's been a long time, says isobue. Too long, brother, and hello, Naruto Uzumaki, says Seiken, his voice a little high-pitched. Naruto Uzumaki? Asks Utakata, and Naruto glows bright red, transforming into his full fox form of a black fox with 9 tails. I am the former host of the Kyuubi no Kitsune Kurama, but due to certain circumstances. He performed the Sensei at the cost of his life, explains Naruto, his tail swishing behind him. He's the one father mentioned, says isobue. I sense some of father's chakra and his eye as well, Seiken says, turning to face Naruto. Seiken. He summoned us here to discuss. Dividing us, Utakata adds his thoughts. Utakata is correct. My goal is to free the Biju and place them in a safe location. For far too long, the ninja villages have used the 9 of you as tools. I wish you all the freedom you deserve, Naruto elaborates. Have you talked to the others? Seiken inquires. I spoke to everyone to varying degrees, except Chome and Gyuki. However, Kakuo and Sun are to blame for Kurama's death. More than likely, I'll have to shake them awake, Naruto responds. Kakuo is sensible, and if you explain things to her, she may calm down, but Gyuki and Sun love to fight, explains Seiken. Are you willing to part ways, Utakata? Asks Seiken. Utakata casts a glance between 3 enormous beasts. Yes, but we were always good friends. I no longer want to fight and bear such a heavy burden, he claims. It's okay. Even if we are separated, we can still communicate in this manner, Seiken says, widening Utakata's eyes slightly. Thank you, Seiken, Utakata, and they exit the room. We'll do the extraction tomorrow, Naruto says as he rubs his eyes open. That's fine, Utakata says, sunshining them back to the office. How did things go? Mei inquires, and Utakata nods slowly. Yes. He'll take Seiken away tomorrow, Utakata responds. That's fine. In the meantime, I'll have Chojuro accompany you to a hotel, Mei says, and a young boy bows, his glasses adjusted. 2 down. 6 to go, Anko remarks as the 3 excuse themselves and leave the Kuroa Yuhi members. Naruto nods as he sits on the sofa. Yeah. Things are going well, but we must remain vigilant. After this failure, Konoha will not be idle. Sasuke recognizes Itachi as a member of Kuroa Yuhi and her true gender. Danzo will go to any length to find us, he elaborates. That's why we're moving to Wave, Hinata says, nodding. Exactly, but Danzo will be unable to act openly. Particularly in light of the recent incident in Iwa, says Naruto. He didn't, says Kuretsuchi. Naruto leans back and crosses his legs on the sofa. He did. Jiraiya was far too important a target to ignore. So he dispatched his best, and they failed. Giving Iwa more ammunition to smear Konoha's reputation, he claims. His arrogance will now confirm the accuracy of your little book. Naruto-kun, you are so cunning, giggling Mei says. The daimyo will be scrambling to repair his image or doubling down and following Danzo, says Naruto. Konoha could improve their image in one way. The Chunin exams are in 4 months. Suna is the host. Suna preliminaries and Konoha finals, says Mei. That's intriguing. Koyuki will want to accompany you. She'll need bodyguards, as will Mei, Naruto thinks. I'll have Chojuro, but I'll be able to use more, Mei says. It may bring the others or at least spread our name, Naruto thought as he cupped his chin in thought. That is acceptable. Hinata and I will protect Koyuki. I'll sneak the others inside while Yugo and Anko protect you. We'll visit Uzumaki Shrine and scatter my parents' ashes. Konoha doesn't deserve any of the Hokages or Lady Mito, Naruto elaborates. I'd like to get my mother's ashes as well, Itachi says, to which Naruto nods. Alright. We have a busy day ahead of us, Naruto says, and they all nod. Ruins of Uzushio. I gotta remember to get Shikamaru, he thought as he joined Naruto, Utakata, Hotaru, and his friends on the island. As Naruto kneels down and places his hand on the seal to release it, Utakata was lying on his stomach with his seal visible on his back. Ready. Utakata, Naruto says, and Utakata nods slowly. Naruto directs some of his chakra to the array over Utakata's seal, which glows brightly and explodes with dense chakra. Shisho! Exclaims Hotaru, but the others protect her from the chakra. Utakata screams as the red chakra flows out of his body, but it gradually fades as his body goes limp. The red chakra forms Seiken and knocks down several trees, while Naruto quickly flips Utakata over and flashes several signs. Ghetto art. Rinne rebirth. Yells Naruto. The King of Hell appears from the ground, opening its mouth as a tendril emerges and latches onto Utakata. He exhales loudly, and Seiken places one of his arms on Utakata, saying, I'll leave you some of my chakra, and Utakata nods weakly. Hinata approaches and begins healing Utakata as Naruto staggers to his feet, oof. That's a first, he says. You will be able to use corrosive substances, Seiken says as he extends his arm and Naruto fist bumps him. Thank you very much, Seiken. The island is quite large, and there are some caves to the southwest, as stated by Naruto. Seiken nods and walks deeper into the island, while Naruto sighs and takes a seat. I would hold off on strenuous activity and wait to use your chakra, Hinata says as he helps Utakata to his feet. A clone appears next to Naruto, he'll take you back to where I discovered you. Travel safely. Utakata. Hotaru, he says as they both bow, and to you, Naruto Uzumaki. Utakata says, and both of them vanish. Kuretsuchi remarks, so homeward bound. With a groan, Naruto rises to his feet, and another 100 clones appear. You know the drill, he says, as the girl joins hands and they all vanish.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.